All right, my friends, and we are on chapter 2, verse 6. Chapter 2 of Exodus, verse 6, and everybody's welcome to have some pea soup, delicious pea soup. You can help yourselves, and if you're going there, maybe Thera wants also. I don't know. No, she doesn't want. Vatiftach, and so she opened up they've just found baby Moses in the water, and she opens up the basket which he's in. Vatireu et hayeled, and she sees the boy. Vinei na'ar bocheh, and behold, the boy was a nar. Now, nar usually means a teenager, but here the word nar means obviously a baby, because you can't have a teenager in the basket, and he's crying. Matachmolav, and she had mercy upon him.
Nar in Yiddish means a foolish person. So.
Yeah. So, vatomer miyaldei ha'ivrim zeh, ha'ivrim zeh, that this one is from those who gave birth to the Hebrews. Let's see what Rashi says about this. She opened it up and she saw him. And mirata, who did she see? Et hayeled, that the boy. That's the pshat. That's the literal explanation. Umidrasho, but the midrash means sherata imo shchina. She saw the shchina. She saw. Sometimes you could see a person who's just an aura about them, and she sees Moses and she sees the shchina. Wow, beautiful idea. Because really, it says vatiftach vatareu et hayeled, and she opens it and she sees him, the boy. So since it says she sees him, the boy is superfluous. So from the fact that it says she sees him, then we must say that him does not refer to the boy. Him must refer to God. And that's what the Midrash says. It's a beautiful.
Rashman says that she saw his penis was circumcised and realized that he was a
She saw that he was Jewish. That she realized he was.
He was already even though it was an infant, he was like a boy.
So she realized he was Jewish.
Overdeveloped.
She realized he was Jewish. And behold, the child was crying. Rashi says, but we know he was not a nar. Nar refers to a teenager. So Rashi tells us something very powerful here. Kolo kinar. His voice was like a teenager, meaning to say, his voice was like a youth. So he had this almost unusual feature.
Interesting that the voice comes right in here, this early stage, because later the voice becomes the negative. Here's the positive.
Very nice. And also, Meyer pointed out at the beginning that Rashi tells us that there's a connection to Esav. And Esav, we have that famous phrase that the voice was the voice of Jacob. And so we're setting it up, Moshe's voice versus the people's voice. So versus the Mialdot, the Narot who were trying to kill him. So that's the thing that Rashi creates. Okay, Vatomer Achoto, and his sister says, Albato, suddenly his sister appears. We're in chapter 2, Reb Zev, chapter 2, verse 7. Vatomer Achoso, Elbat Paro, his sister says to the daughter of Pharaoh, should I go and call for you a woman who's a nurse, Mina Evriyot, from amongst the Hebrews, and she will nurse for you for this boy. So why does she have to go call the Ivriot? So Rashi's going to wonder, why is she all of a sudden offering a Hebrew nursemaid? The simple explanation is that was a job for the lower class. Who's going to act as a nursemaid? I mean, it's not exactly the most prestigious position. You can, basically you're like, but Rashi has a different explanation. Rashi tells us that what was going on actually was that she was taking Moshe to a lot of different Egyptian women to nurse them. And he refused to nurse from the Egyptian women because in the future he was going to speak with the Shlina, and therefore he only wanted kosher milk. But that's what Rashi.
Skuni flips this. What's his Skuni, Rabbi?
Chizkuni was a French commentary in the Middle Ages.
He was
In
a
the
little
early-
more politically correct. The way he interpreted.
What does he
it,
say?
Said the Egyptian nurses wouldn't suckle him because they thought it was very degrading to suckle a Hebrew child. So that's why they have to find a Jewish one. I mean, it kind of.
Right.
turns it
Oh, so
around.
that's what he says.
Yeah, flips the
So
script.
very interesting. Rashi said the Gemara tells us in Sota. Rashi in Sota says, "What's the problem? Why can't you nurse from an Egyptian woman? Because the milk has the taste of the food that you ate. And so if the Egyptians were eating non-kosher food, then the milk would taste like the non-kosher food."
French, they call it the terroir.
What's that?
As the whole environment is subsumed in the milk.
In the milk, yeah. So, right, well, by the way, so this is a question that they say today, like, can you give a baby non-kosher food? Is it a problem if your nanny goes to bring the baby to McDonald's? So we see from here that it's a problem because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do it. But here's the thing. So then they ask about that. I heard this pshat. So then they said, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think I remember this being taught by Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. And the pshat was like this. Well, why does the Shulchan Aruch say you can't feed the baby non-kosher food because Moshe Rabbeinu ate non-kosher? Moshe Rabbeinu refused to eat the non-kosher food because he was going to talk with the divine presence. So then the obvious question is, okay, fine. Moshe Rabbeinu can't eat the non-kosher food, but a regular baby can, right? So that's the answer, says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, that every baby, we have to look at that baby as though they are going to be talking with the Shlina, as though they are the next Moshe Rabbeinu. We have to look at that baby as they have this tremendous potential to reach this tremendous level of connecting to Hashem. That's a very powerful explanation. Look at each child as though they are the next Moshe Rabbeinu. So next verse says, "Vatomer la bat Paro," and the daughter of Pharaoh said to her, "Yeah, are you trying to say something, Rabbi Yosef?" No, okay. Tomer la bat Paro, and the daughter of Pharaoh said to her, "Lechi b'teilecha alma, go and go." B'teilecha alma, the alma went. The alma is one of the most controversial words in the entire Hebrew Bible because the Christians say it must be a virgin, and that's why because it's used in the messianic passage in Isaiah. But we say it just means a young girl. Vatikrat emayael, and she called the mother of the child. Rashi says that the word alma means hachabis rizus va'amus ke'elem. She ran quickly and with agility and zealousness and strength like a youth. So, okay. So she goes, Vatikrat emayael. So she called the mother of the child. Vatomer la bat Paro, helichi et hayelad hazeh ve'nikuli. And so this is like a movie. The daughter of Pharaoh says, "Take this child and nurse him for me. Ve'ani atein et tzarech, and I'll pay you. I'll pay you to do it." Vatikach ha'isha hayelad vatinikeyu. And the woman takes the child and she nurses him. Rashi says, take him. Now we read Vatelech Alma. That was in the last pasuk. But she says, "Hey, take this child and nurse him for me." She was speaking prophetically and she didn't know what she was saying. She said, "Hi, shalichi." Pharaoh was saying, "Take this is yours. Hi, Shelichi, this is yours. So Paro's daughter was basically acknowledging that this daughter, that the son belonged to Yocheved. Vayigdal Yeled, Vativieu Abat Paro, and the child grew older, and they brought him to the daughter of Pharaoh, Vayhilo Aven, and she was as a son to the daughter of Pharaoh. Vatikra Shemo Moshe, she called him Moses. Vatomer Kimina Maya Mishitiyu, she says his name is Moses because I drew him forth from the water. Okay, so is Moses an Egyptian name? Name Moshe is an Egyptian name? She says, I called him Moses because I drew him forth from the water. So Moshe, the greatest human being ever, does he not have a Hebrew name? By the way, in the Gemara, you have a lot of names for people. You have people named Yitzhak, Yaakov, Shmuel. You don't really have Moshe in the Gemara. I mean, in fact, Moshe is a title in the Gemara. We see a couple times as a title. I don't know the whole Shas well enough to say it never appears as a name, but names in the Gemara of Amoraim. I don't remember. You could Google it while we're speaking, but I don't remember an Amoraic sage whose name is Moshe. I'm sure there are. I don't know if there are. I don't remember. Is there? But there's Ishmael. Hello, Judah. Here, Judah, we can give you an assignment. Can you Google now while we're talking, while we're studying, see if there is a sage in the Talmud whose name is Moshe? Here's a Chumash. Take what?
Hold
Rabbi
on.
Yosef,
Me, Judah, you got another Judah down there.
no, there's a Judah here. Yeah, you're superfluous, but you could Google it too, Judah. Yeah, that's you. We call Dr. Shore. We call Dr. Shore.
All right, Judah's the other one. Okay.
Yeah, this is the other Judah. He's the Judah right in front of us. We have a nice mark-based measures today. What do you say, Rabbi Yosef?
I was going to compare Freud to Maharal, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to. Maharal says that if it was really from the word in Hebrew, Meshitiu, it should have been called Mashui, not Moshe. Moshe means somebody who draws out, not somebody who is drawn out. And so Maharal's answer is that she realized that even though she was the one who was active here, he will have that job in his future, that he will be the one to draw the people out of Egypt. And Freud wrote a small booklet called Moses and Monotheism, where he proves for him that Moses is an Egyptian name. And that would also explain the same idea, meaning that if it really was Hebrew, it should have been Mashui, but instead it's Moses. But so when Moshe wrote the Torah, he added that idea basically to say that they're both right.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. So let us read what let's read what Rashi says. Shkoyach Rabbi Yosef. Mishiteu Ketargumo. So the Targum translates it to mean Shichalte, I took him out. Vu Lashon Hotza'ah, the Lashon Arami, is an expression of taking out in Aramaic. So as we find, Kamishchal Binase Michalva, as somebody who takes a hair out of milk. That's, by the way, a reference to Gemara in Brachos, where he says his death was like a hair being removed from milk. Remember that Gemara? The Lashon Ivri, and in the Hebrew, Mishiteu Lashon Hasirotiv. It means I removed him. Like Kamo Lo Yamush. Lo Yamush Sefer Torah Zamipicha. This Torah shall never depart from your mouth. So Rashi is connecting the word Moshe to the word Yamush there. And also Lo Mashu. The ark of Hashem did not move away. Anyway, Kach Chibro Menachem. That's how Menachem understood it. But Rashi says, Vani Omer she'enu mimachberet mash v'yamush. I say it's not the same as mash and yamush. Elo migizrat Moshe. Its root its shoresh is Moshe. Lashon hotza'ahu, it means to take out. So, as it states, "V'chein yamsheni mimayim rabim," he will take me out of many waters. She'ilu haya mimachperet mash, if it was from the root of mash, lo yitachen lomar mishitiu. It shouldn't say mishitiu, el hamishotihu, but that would be the more correct word. Kasher yamar min kam hakimosi, min shav hashivosi, umin ba haviosi. So that's what he says. It should say hamishosio. Omashtiyo. Rashi says, "Kamo mashti esavona arts." Aval mashiti, but the word mashiti, enu elam exeris teva shapoal shalom yusad be hey besofa teva. So it's coming from a word that has a hey at the end of the word, like Kagon Moshe to take out, Bana to build, Asa to do, Tziva to command, Pina to turn. Kishayavo Omar Bahem Pa'alti. Asiti, Baniti, Paniti, Tziviti. And so therefore it would become, the hay would come in the place of the hay. Okay, so that's Rashi. But to Rashi, I guess what I take away from this is very clear to Rashi that this is the Hebrew word. So it would make sense, though, that I guess Pharaoh's daughter, whose name, by the way, if you look in Tanakh, is Bitya, not Batya, the proper spelling is Bitya, that if you look in Tanakh, the Pharaoh's daughter might have given him Moshe a Hebrew name because she's saying he's a Jew, he's a Hebrew, so I'll give him a Hebrew name. You want him to, Judah, did you find anybody in the Gemara named Moshe?
There's like one person, like there's one person named Moshe, but he's not like a Rav. He's like some person that comes up in the sugya, but it's not like.
Oh, it's not a, what Gemara is that in?
It's Arachin.
Erachin?
Yeah, Tav Gimel.
Okay, we're gonna get to that in like 5 years, God willing. Maybe 4 years. It's a beautiful tractate, but so the person named Moshe comes as he asked the question. So the name Moshe.
It's like an example. It's like part of a story. Like, this guy did such and such, and
wow. So Moshe appears only once in Shas as the name of a person.
and so
Wow. But it also names as a title. It does appear as a title that he calls somebody Moshe. That it does appear. I remember that appearing.
Moshe has 6 other names.
No, that's true. Moshe does have 6 other names, and those names appear in the Talmud. But I'm saying, I remember, you could probably find this when you did your research, that they called somebody by the title Moshe. That as like they're saying that you're the Gadol Ador. I don't remember the daf, but I remember the Gemara.
Even Ezra says, even Ezra was a grammarian. He says that his Egyptian name was Monius. I always wondered where that name Monius came from. His Egyptian name was Monius, and Monius in Hebrew was Moses.
Very nice, very nice. There is a people sometimes named Monis. There's a guy who used to live here named Monis.
That's I could never. That wasn't
Yeah.
till today.
Now you figured it out. All right, fine, beautiful. Says the verse, Vayigdal Ayeled Bataviel about Pharaoh. When the child grew older, they brought him to the house of Pharaoh. Vayilo then, and she became his son. Vatikrashmo Moshe, and she called him Moses. Vatomer, she said, Ki min hamayim mishitiu, because I drew him out of the water. Okay, we just read that. Now, verse of Vayigdal, Vayiba Yamim Ahim, Vayigdal Moshe, and in those days, Moses grew older. So we already said Vayigdal once, so now it's saying it again. Rashi's going to comment on that. Vayetze Elachav, and he goes out to his brothers. Vayar b'sivotam, and he sees their affliction. Vayar ish mitzri makeh ish ivri me'achav, and he sees an Egyptian man striking the Hebrew from amongst his brothers. Rashi says, Vayigdal Moshe. Moshe grew older. Vahalo kfar kosav. Vayigdal Ayel. Doesn't it already say that the boy grew older? Why does it say it a second time? Why does it say it a second time? Amar Rabbi Yehudi bar Rabbi Eli. Harishon Lakoma, Sheni Ladua. The first is physical. He grew up physically. And the second is for greatness. The second is for greatness. Shemino Paro Al Beso. That now he's become Avdil Alfe Abdolos, to make 1,001 distinctions. He's like the prince of Buckingham Palace. You know, now he's been made like a prince. He's in charge of his household. So now Pharaoh elevated him. Okay. She continues. Vayar b'sivotam, he saw his brother's afflictions. Rashi says, Nasane nav v'libo liot mitzar alehem. He put his eyes and his mind, and he saw their distress. He saw into their burdens. He looked closely at their struggles. And he saw, and by the way, there must have been other Jews, other Hebrews who were found and brought into the house of Pharaoh, but they didn't see the plight of their brethren. What made Moshe great was that when he was in the house of Pharaoh, he saw the plight of his brothers. That's what made him great. Ish Mitzri, and he sees an Egyptian man striking a Hebrew man from amongst his brothers. Ish Mitzri, Rashi says, Nogei Sayah. He was a taskmaster. Memuna al Shotrei Israel. He was in charge of the Israelite taskmasters. Because the word Ish denotes a distinguished person. Vayama Midam. By the way, I should say, since we're talking about Moshe, how many times the name appears in the Talmud, you could check this out also. I think that the name Batya, the daughter of Pharaoh, appears twice in the Talmud. That would be my thing. I think it appears in Sanhedrin, but it's the same Gemara that appears both times. I would say it appears twice. That would be what I remember. And if you think about it, you could look that one up, Judah. How often does Batya appear? That the story, because it appears in Sota, I assume it appears in Sota and Sanhedrin. No, I don't know. No. Maybe it appears 3 times. I don't know. 2 or 3 times in the whole Talmud. Batya. That the name Batya, either 2 or 3 times. How much is it?
Trying to get the filters right, so.
Okay, fine. We have here an engineer.
I'm just using Safari.
Okay. So it says here as follows. So he was getting them up at dawn. He would get them early to go do their work. And he saw him striking a Hebrew man. Does everybody remember who this Egyptian was and why he was striking the Hebrew man? Do you remember this? Oh, very good. Reb Sasson is correct. So let's see what Rashi says. That the Hebrew who was being struck was the Egyptian, was Shlomo Bas Tivri's husband. And what happened from that? Because what happened was, we'll say it out, that the Egyptian had assaulted her in the middle of the night. And when the Jew discovered this, he was being beaten. Now, from that union, does everybody remember who was born? From that union, that was born the man who cursed God. Later on in the Torah, the Mikalel, Isha Mikalel, the man who cursed God because he had no place to go. Nobody would take him into their tribe because it went after the father, and his father was an Egyptian. So what does it say here? That, yeah?
The Torah actually calls him an Ish Michael, so he also had some kind of stature. Like,
I'm sorry, say it again.
You just said it about the Ish Mitzri, that the word Ish means that he was important. So,
right.
As bad as the Mekalel was, he's also called an Ish.
Well, the Mikalel is not called it, here is not called the Mikalel. The issue is who's being beaten here is not the Mikalel, it's the Mikalel's mother's wife, husband.
Right. No, but I'm saying, but the Mikalel himself is called Haish.
All right. Yeah,
Not the answer.
Vayikra.
okay.
It appears in Megillah and twice in Sanhedrin. And in Megillah, it's quoting a pasuk that
Right.
has in it.
Yeah, it's just quoting the pasuk, but otherwise it appears twice in Sanhedrin.
Also, Sanhedrin's actually quoting the pasuk also.
Yeah,
Or
no,
at least
so I'm
one
saying
place, one place.
Megillah and Sanhedrin is the same thing. The Megillah and Sanhedrin is the same.
Yeah.
It's the same citation.
And there's one in Sanhedrin where it's not quoting the pasuk.
So it's only mentioned 3 times, but 2 of them are the same. All right, fine. So it says that she sees him, Makeh Ishivri. He sees him striking a Hebrew man. Malkeu Verodeu sees him striking and striking him and smacking him. So, okay, wait, we have to stop here. We'll have to pick up this Rashi tomorrow. We have to pray. Now, we have to daven. We have to daven now. Pray, I want to just say the word pray comes from the Latin prectoris, means like to ask for something. But we don't pray, we don't pray, we daven. And the davening comes from the word tefillah. So what does the word tefillah mean? We don't know exactly what it means, but there's a couple of theories. One theory is it comes from the book of Samuel, meaning to judge oneself. Another theory is that it comes, what we saw last week, that comes from the word pella, meaning to be astonished, miraculous. So it doesn't mean to ask. When we daven, the focus is not on asking God for things. The focus is on either internal introspection or trying to connect to God or serving God, but not the Latin praise. So from now on, we're going to say daven.
There's this rabbi I know that said, imagine that it's a
Right. Imagine that. Yeah, that was last week. Exactly right. Yeah. Go ahead.